Today we're going to talk about grief and sudden death. It's one of those difficult losses that requires time to resolve. And when you experience a sudden loss, it becomes one of those things that is difficult to understand, difficult to know why. The whys come in. That what could I have done? What if I could have talked to them a little bit longer before leaving? How about if I knew that they were going to die, that I would have told them everything I needed to say? When unexpected death happens, whether it's due to an accident, whether it's due to a collapse, whatever it is, it's very, very difficult. But one of the things that's most important to know is that every single person deals with it differently. Some will just pretend like it didn't happen. We just keep going in life and etc. But then the next day comes. And you said, I'm going to call them and I can't. Or a month from then. There's a gap. There's a stop in your body. There's a stop in your life. There's a stop that says, let me look at life differently right at this moment. Because from that last minute, everything changed. From that last second, that you realize that someone informed you, a loved one, a coworker, a friend just died. It is very, very difficult process. But most importantly, when you have the support, when you have people around you, you don't always have to go to therapy, but there is also that opportunity when it goes for a long while, when you feel like you're depressed going down, where you're feeling that anger, denial, that bargaining with yourself, that depression that sets in through time, that it changes and it becomes chronic or worse.
Yeah.
Then you seek.
Right.
But you also have survival guilt that sets in sometimes. Not always, but it does.
As I hear you speak, I think one of the hardest parts after a loss like this is the pressure people feel to make sense of it quickly, to find meaning, to be strong, to say the right thing. And the truth is that the nervous system doesn't heal on a deadline. Grief that carries shock needs slowness. It doesn't need someone to resolve anything. It doesn't need insight. It needs time. And many times we tell people, go through your own process with grief. There is no timeline with grief. Take all the time that you need. So if things feel foggy and you don't know the words, or the words don't come to you right now, and you notice yourself going quiet, So I think many times we don't speak about that quiet in the shock of grief, or in grief itself. We don't speak about the quiet, that it's not, that is not avoidance, that that's the system asking for some time and space, that we don't have to figure it out right now. And the work in those moments, especially in shock, when you get that phone call, is to simply move slow, move gently, and let your body know that it doesn't have to rush to figure anything out. I think the difficulty is in being in that space and being the person to hold the space with someone else.
Yeah, it is so true what you just said. That shock that comes in, then your body can go to a freeze, in a freeze state. So many an advice that I give everyone when they're experiencing grief is just to slow down, just to notice what is happening, just to notice your surroundings, because you do live in a fog. It's this cloudy environment that you're living through, even though you're doing everyday structured things, but your loss of concentration, it's so real. That's why slowing down can give you just a little bit of that space, just to notice, to be with it, so you can just begin to just maybe heal a little bit, notice a little bit. But healing is not that you're going to lose that person, you're going to forget that person. Your body remembers that shock. It's the healing of your body that you're working through. And then your mind, and then your thoughts, and then everything else that comes. Your memories will overwhelm you at times. And then you start remembering and laughing or enjoying, and you'll be like, oh no, I have to stop that. Because I shouldn't be doing this, or I shouldn't be doing that, or I should be crying and I'm not. That expectation that if you don't cry, then you don't care, you don't feel. But many people grieve within, in their body, in their selves. Let's get things done. Let's get the funeral done. Let's get what we need. 6 months, a year, 2 years down the road, you're like, what the heck is happening to me? So all of a sudden it just hits you because you've been on survival mode. Maybe. Maybe it's your first loss. Or maybe your fifth or 10th, which you become numb, but you're so body's in grief. Your body's in despair. And it's going to show up uniquely to you.
I think it's important to say that out loud. It really is, because there's a lot of people quietly judging themselves, especially adult children. Because when we're thinking about our loved ones and the elders, sometimes we could notice, right, through the experience that we're going through, or just from our skills from working in death, working in that death space, that there are signs and clues that we can see that their death is close, or that their death is expected in a sense, because of age or because of illness or because you can see the decline, the mental cognitive decline. And it's important to say these things because even with having that information, your body could still receive the news or the moment that it occurs as sudden, like your mind is saying, I knew this was coming. But your nervous system didn't actually get like the rehearsal for the exact moment. So we're left in this shock feeling, in, like you mentioned, the disorientation, like something knocked the wind out of us. And it's not because we're in denial, because the mind said, I knew that it was coming. And it's not that we're avoiding grieving our loved one. It's, from my experience, it's the body responding like all of this change is happening all at once. And when you sit with that, you quietly, and I'm speaking from experience, and even with my clients, but from my own experience, it's like that silent judging, like I should have been more prepared, or I should have handled it better. And just to sit in that space to notice that and realize that there's nothing wrong with you as a human being or your system for responding that way. Because this is how human beings, the body, the mind, responds to loss, especially when it's sudden.
Yeah. But it's clearly a sad occasion. And it's clearly everybody is grieving by being at a funeral, by sharing, by experience, being in support. Everybody's grieving. It is sad. And in knowing that everybody loved that person and everybody is in community brings a little bit of peace. That's what community is for, is to unite when someone is grieving, when there's a loss, when it's the sudden loss of someone. But it's very difficult when everyone leaves. And that's where you really feel it the most. And now we're in the holidays where there's anniversaries, there's birthdays, there's a special occasions that are triggers that will bring that loved one back, that it will bring those memories that will also be hard. And you will remember them. And you'll cherish those moments. As you walk through life, as we all know, there's two things that are guaranteed. One is birth and one is death. And when something that suddenly happens in front of us, we start thinking about, are we next? That could have been me. How long do I have? How I must hug my loved ones. How do you work on through life? Not being upset with your spouse or your partner or your family. Or knowing that if there's something that you can do to fix things, to fix them. So many things can come up.
It's coming up for me right now. As I'm hearing you talking as an adult daughter, it brought flashbacks to me. You know, when my father, the man that raised me, the man that loved me, you know, I didn't know that he was my stepfather until I was 13 years old. I had no clue. But he passed away in my arms, his last breath in my lungs, and he was only 47 years old. So I was in my late 20s, you know, and my mind kept going into, I'm reaching the age that he passed away. I'm reaching the age. And then when I reached that age, I'm like, oh my goodness, I passed the age that he passed away. In a couple of days, I'm going to be half a century plus 2 years old. And it still comes up for me. Like, wow, I passed his age that he passed away in my arms with his last breath in my lungs, because it was that traumatic for me. And I think that something else that helps over time is remembering that this experience is not only about the moment that they died or how they died. It's about the whole relationship you have with them. There's not a day that goes by that I don't stop thinking about the ways both of my parents, but you know, my mom is here. I'm talking about him specifically, the ways and the things that he did to help shape me or to shape my life or to shape the way that I think. Those memories live in my body. And the things, there are things that I carry forward because of him. You know, so just to put it out into the space that you will carry things forward because of how they touched your loved ones, touched your life, whether you felt a loving moment with them or not. You know, that's another thing to think about. There are some people that their death is sudden and you might not have had a great relationship with them. It still comes up, and those things could still be remedied in how you honor their death, you know, in your days moving forward, because grief doesn't erase whatever occurred or the bond. It changes how it lives inside of you, you know, and with time, the shock will settle, and there's usually space for those other layers to come forward too, where you could notice any love, any good moments and memories, any gratitude at the same time while you're feeling the sadness and the tears are rolling down your face and your heart aches. So to please understand that there's no rush for any of that, because it will come. Everyone individually in their own time, and your system will unfold it with you in its own timing and in your own timing.
Thank you for that. It is in their own time. It's also very, very important to note that there are strategies for coping when you have had a loss. One of the things is sharing your feelings with your loved ones. It's so important because they also have feelings. They also have memories. And listening to each other's stories brings a little bit of, oh, we both knew them differently or the same. How wonderful they were. Find someone to trust to be able to share. Because sometimes you just keep wanting to speak to somebody, whether it's your spouse or a friend that you have a good relationship, to really go deep on how you feel. Sometimes you make memories. We write down information, do a memory box or something that can bring all those memories back when you need them, when you want them. Photos. Doing a little album and write your stories of what you remember. Because in reality is, the longer it goes, you may forget a little bit, but you never forget. You never forget how you felt with that person. And sometimes you're going to feel, oh my goodness, I feel them here. I feel them present. And that's an amazing gift that you have. And honor that as you go through life. Allow extra time. Allow breaks. I invite you to try to eat, to sleep, to do the normal stuff that you normally know and do every day on a daily basis. Take care of your body and yourself in order to be able to grieve as the process, the days go, the years come, and those times that you notice that you are grieving. But also noticing that there's going to be physical reactions. Your body's going to feel it. There's going to be memories or thoughts that come your way. There's going to be behaviors, irritability, or you can get mad for no reason, and you're going to avoid, or you're going to be more angry. You can also have anxiety or sadness. And just to notice whatever comes up, that is okay. Just the little things to remember to take care of yourself.
Every day that passes, I get more and more comfortable sitting in the silence when the thoughts come up. Every now and then, a song will play on the radio. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I remember when my dad used to play that song over and over again. And he used to say they don't make music like that anymore. And not that the tears ever go away, but they have become less. I don't cry at the missing of him so much as I used to. I have moments where in the healing space that I'm in, I've done more healing work than most of the people in my family, that I think about my younger brother and sister. That was their biological father. How are they doing? How have they been navigating, coping, and growing through? Because that's what we do. We grow through the grief. We grow with the grief. It's a constant companion. It is not going anywhere. For as much as you love the person, that's as much as you will grieve the person. So every now and then, when I'm flicking through all the channels of cable, I'll come across some Westerns, or I'll come across, Gone with the Wind, or these shows he used to watch that he put me onto it even before I had the level of awareness that I had. The Dukes of Hazzard. He liked, John Wayne and Clint Eastwood. He thought that Marilyn Monroe and Elizabeth Taylor were the hot things, at that time. When they come up, his memories come up. And sometimes I laugh. Sometimes when I gaze somewhere else in the room, my thoughts drift. Like, wow, he really wanted to make sure that his daughters, when they learned how to drive, they knew how to change a tire. They knew how to check the oil. Just those little things. And I could never, ever, even if I tried, I could never, ever forget him. But now there's more laughter, there's more giggles, there's more smiles. And sometimes, even now, I could feel the waters coming in my eyes and sitting at the brim because I loved him. Sometimes the tears fall, but many times it stays right there in that feeling that I could change, that not that it changes, but that I could feel it in my body as it changes up and down. Like sadness, happiness, sadness. It's almost like it's trying to find its equilibrium in my system. And I'm only able to share that because it took time. And it took understanding of what I was going through in grief, how I was grieving, the person I was grieving. Thank you for letting me share that.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing. Because it's so important to know that everybody grieves differently. And none of us is an exception to that rule. We all have lived experience through life. We all grieve the littlest, simplest things in life. So it's not just a sudden death, which is one of the worst ones, but there's also grieving the loss of your home or moving out or transitioning from not working to not working. There's so many grief and loss in so many ways. So yes, it is a lived experience. And yes, you grieve through life. So be kind to yourself. Be mindful to what's happening in your life. And through the holidays, through special occasions, through those times, take extra care. And slow down and smell the roses sometimes. Slow down and look what's around you. Because sometimes we forget and get busy with life. Or we get busy in life so we don't feel. So just notice what happens. But take care of yourself.
And in that taking care of yourself, please know that you're not alone in this space, that there are places where you can reach out. You're hearing right now from two professionals that work in this space. So please feel free to reach out. We're both very well versed in brain spotting, in trauma support. We also have different tools in our tool bags. Go check out Carmen's website at goldenheartcounseling.com. Check out my website at whytobeunique.com. And look around and see what are other supports you may need so you can anchor yourself at whatever stage and level you are in your grief. We just wanted to come on here and have this conversation with you because many are having an empty chair at the table during the holidays every day, but especially more so on the holidays where you see other families coming together and sharing and caring one for the other. And you can't help but to think of your own. I'm happy to be in the space with you. And with all of this, I'm complete. Thank you for letting me share and thank you for being present with us today.